Celtics Talk podcast is presented by 24autogroup.com. 11 locations across New England.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of the Celtics Talk podcast here on the NBC Sports Boston podcast network. Hope you're enjoying the All-Star break, but we couldn't just go on vacation. I mean, it's not like we're taping this early or whatever before I disappeared to South Carolina. Coming up, one of my favorite storylines of the year has been after every Celtics win, this guy, Pete Rogers, on Twitter, made a decision. He was going to make a new jersey design after every Celtics win this season. I'm not sure Pete knew going in that he might have to do 58, 60 designs, but the man is a machine, and he's been pumping out jersey after jersey, and they've been phenomenal. And so I called him up. He's living up in Minneapolis now. Got the lowdown on what it was like to just make the decision, what it was like to have to pump out a jersey every night. You think about it, back-to-backs and having to have designs to go. But he has been amazing, and some of them are super, super fun. And I hope there's some inspiration. I've started seeing them around TD Garden. Some people have started purchasing them as well. So I'm just saying, good ideas. I love the ingenuity. So let's get right into it. Here's my interview with Pete Rogers.
All right, Pete, I'm fascinated by this whole thing. And obviously I have I'm not, as a journalist, I don't have a rooting interest, except that I want to see another jersey every day. As you embark on this, did you know that you're going to probably have to make 60 different jerseys? And then just take me back. How did the idea all kind of come along?
Yeah. So the actual quantity has been, I think I hoped I would be making this many jerseys. What I didn't realize, I think, was how much it would take to make all these jerseys. The first few, I feel like the first 10 or so, I was like, oh, I kind of had these ideas already percolating. It was pretty easy to get them to paper. And then it kind of was like, all right, now once you get to jersey 30, 40, and you're like, all right, well, I kind of have done, I feel like, everything. So that's when you have to start getting some kind of wild ideas. So the idea, it ultimately came from, I've always been doing jerseys, just kind of fun designs for my own. I started it at the really beginning of the pandemic, when I didn't have anything else to do. And so I've been doing it pretty exclusively on my Instagram and kind of I did NFL, NBA, a whole 9 yards. And then this year on Twitter and just for the Celtics, I want to do something specifically Celtics. Last year obviously made it to the finals, didn't win, but the whole core was still there. Added Malcolm Brogdon. The team felt even better than what it was last year, and wanting to do something that would be fun, especially for the Celtics, A, because I'm from Boston, but B, because it's one of those teams like the Lakers where they don't have a lot of creativity in terms of their jerseys, because it's kind of this is what tradition has always been, and they're absolutely gorgeous jerseys and they should not be touched, but doing something kind of new. And clearly there's a call for it. Clearly, Celtics fans want something kind of some cool ideas and some different ideas. But it all came from actually an artist, Rita Oak, who she's an artist on Twitter who did every day set up the challenge for herself to draw a picture of Jimmy Garoppolo until he got traded from the 49ers.
All right.
And for her, that spiraled into, I think she just celebrated 365 days of drawing a picture of Jimmy G, which is wild to me. And I was embarking on this. I was like, there's no way I can do a jersey a day. That's unrealistic. Otherwise they'd be just getting absurd jerseys. So I was like, all right, well, let's tie it to something cool. And wins made the most sense. I figured there was going to be a good chance the Celtics were one of the best teams in the league if everything kind of held true, and that's playing out. And it's, made me create. I think I just finished up win 38. So I have that in the bank. And so that's 38 jerseys so far, it's been wild.
So it got me thinking, because I was like, there's been a couple 9-game winning streaks. Not that you're not going to actively root for the team, but I mean, there's got to be stretches on back-to-backs and stuff like that. They were so good on back-to-backs. You must be if they could just at least space these games out a little bit better, how hard has it been to just keep the volume going?
Yeah. So I will say the first 9 I feel like the first 9-win streak, I had a few in the bank, or I had a lot of ideas, and I can't remember quite which one, but that one didn't hit as hard as the last 9-win streak. That one was tough, especially the back-to-back. Because I had dropped something really big for the 30th. Oh, I did the gas tank for the 30th win, and I was like, awesome. And then they had the back-to-back win, and I was like, oh, I gotta do something in 24 hours. Shoot. So I threw that together. So yeah, so I try to build up. If I have the idea, I will try to kind of start building up an inventory of ideas. I like giving myself the challenge, or I like having some wins associated with some jerseys associated with the win. So like I have an idea. It's actually came from my brother, which I'm really hyped about. I have an idea for Marcus Smart's first game back whenever they win with him first return. So I got an idea for that one. And so that one I can't really make ahead of time because I got to know what number to put on the jersey and all of that jazz. But yeah, I tend to try to put some into the bank, but also sometimes, it's fun to just kind of sit down and be like, all right, what are we doing? And kind of see what inspiration hits.
As a journalist who procrastinates at every turn, I understand the value of what a deadline will do for you. And but I feel bad almost putting a spotlight on you here because there's just going to be more pressure for you to produce. But sometimes that's where the best work comes from. Before we get into some of the awesome designs, I want to take me back. You said you're from Boston, I think you told me you're out in Minnesota now. How did give me the growing up a Celtics fan, and when did you get out there?
Yeah, so I grew up outside of Boston, and then for college went out here for college, and then met my future wife here there, and we lived for New York a little time. Lived in Boston in the North End for 2 years, and then we moved out here. We have twins, and so with that, I was like, we were like, all right, either we're living, her family's out here, my family's in Boston, and we were like picking one of the two. And the price point in Minneapolis is a lot nicer than the price point in Boston. So we were like, all right, we'll move out to here. But we also both really like it out here. She grew up in Wisconsin, so
that's great.
It feels like home for both of us. But yeah, so the Boston fandom, I grew up obviously a Boston sports fan. I used to be much more Patriots football driven. And then through a mixture of finding it harder and harder to root for the NFL, Tom Brady leaving, and the Patriots kind of achieving everything that a fan could ever want them to achieve, I was like, all right, time to shift alliances, and basketball was just a natural fit for me. My brother was always a big Celtics fan, so that kind of he keyed me into that. And so I would say for the last 5 or 6 years, it's been a pretty solid transition. And it helped the fact that during those 5 to 6 years that my fandom I've become more and more invested. You get Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Marcus Smart, this incredible young core of players who are really fun to root for. So it's been a very easy transition into this team. And I have become more and more in love with the sport of basketball and the NBA as a league as a whole.
That's awesome. So, I mean, when did you start doing the designs for other teams? Is this right at the pandemic, this was just become a thing, or was it even before then? Because you pull up your Instagram page and you have all the different sports, all different teams outside of Boston. And like you said, it's been very Twitter centric, which is probably the right thing for the NBA because that's where most congregate. When did you realize that this was something is this your full-time job otherwise, in graphics or anything?
Yeah. So actually it started when I was working for SB Nation at the time. I was running their fantasy sports site. And then the pandemic hit. And so I had nothing to do because there was no sports. And, graphic design has never been a job, but it's always been a hobby for me. And I don't know exactly kind of what keyed me in. It was early in the, I feel like the NBA had not early in their city rollouts, but the city jerseys was starting to kind of gain more traction, starting to be more creative and doing more cooler things. And I was like, all right, this would be awesome. And I had just stumbled upon an old template that I had used, that I was like, oh, I now have the template. I know how to use Photoshop. Let's start making jerseys. I got all this free time now. And so I redesigned the NBA, then did the NFL, MLB, and NHL, and then just kind of did a whole bunch of different projects off of that. And from then it's been a lot of fun. I love, and particularly why the NBA, it's just they've already established the fact that jerseys can be super creative and do really cool things. And so it's really easy to create a really cool creative jersey. You're not going to be faced with the same, especially baseball. I mean, everyone threw a fit when they added the Nike swoosh on to the base. There's so much tradition in baseball uniforms that I feel really creative out there uniforms are a little aren't as well received as like a really creative basketball jersey where everyone has seen really wild things and they're like, oh yeah. I mean, like some of the best basketball jerseys out there are you have like the Nuggets rainbow, which is just gorgeous, but that's a completely wild jersey. The Raptors giant logo, that's a completely wild jersey. So like it's in NBA history to have like really crazy, cool, unique jerseys. And so it's made it a natural sport to kind of like create some cool ideas.
And then I think that's sort of why it's been embraced by people in Boston. Like me as much as everyone, I understand the tradition. I understand the history. I understand you don't want to step outside of the colorways too much. But also, this is a team that rolled out gray sleeved jerseys a couple of years ago. And it was like, what are we doing here? And so I keep hoping they'll find inspiration in the, Vice Night jerseys that Miami does. And,
there's just so much in Boston to pull from. There's so many good ideas, and there's ones that I haven't even done yet. Like one that I have in the bank is like the Freedom Trail. Like there's all kind of cool history in Boston. It's just, it's unfortunate that they haven't both, whether it's Nike, whether it's the NBA, whether it's the Celtics, like haven't pulled from that yet.
And I'm from just the outside, because I badger some of these people involved. And I always feel bad because like it's a tough position to be in, right? Like you're deciding whether before anyone really can see these things, if the public is going to like it. And we nitpick so many things like, these city jerseys this year, they're hunter green. They look like the Bucks, and we all get upset. And then we kind of get the history about Bill Russell, and it's like, oh, okay, you got to talk us down a little bit.
Oh yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, right. And you have to be presented the information before you're ready to be like, okay, I'm willing to accept this. And then you've got to win in them, or else they become I remember writing a story years ago. The black alternates, they would never win a playoff game in them, and so they literally had to stop wearing them because they were convinced that there was like some negative karma going on in them, and that's sort of flipped, but. I find it fascinating. I want to get into some of you mentioned the oil tank. Like, I'm not asking because like I assume they become like children. Like, I don't know if you can rank them, but like where on the pantheon is the oil tank, and like what other ones jump out to you when you look at your designs?
Yeah, the oil. I mean, it was one that people had been asking for. It was one I knew I was going to do, and I had that idea in terms of its placement, and it was a perfect example of like the idea coming to fruition exactly as you imagined it. And so that's definitely, it's one of my favorite ones. Honestly, the Gino jersey I just dropped is one of my absolute favorite. That one turned out just beautifully. and somehow like, it's just, I was worried that it was going to be a little too Warriors-y because they just did the kind of lightning bolts down the side. But the fact that the size of it and the retro kind of vibe to it, it really worked for me. So that one is I'm very excited about.
As someone who considers himself maybe the prime Gino historian, when I saw that, I thought it was electric. And not only that, and I think I saw on Twitter, you said this wasn't even like intentional, but it was off of a Gino game.
It was incredible. So my brother was like, I showed it to him. He was like, all right, well, you have to do that after they like blow a team out. And I was like, all right, well, that's like, that feels like a long time. I'm really gonna have to wait for that. And he's like, all right, at least do a home game. So I was like, all right, it'll be the Nets or the Suns. Like those are two home games. Yeah. Probably can win one of them. And then, and then after the first quarter, it was 46-12. And I was like, oh my God, this is perfect. I could not have planned a better jersey to drop on today. So that one just worked perfecly.
Nothing tells you you're doing something the correct way, and like that the world is embracing it as much as it lining up perfectly with what you did. Yeah,
the universe is giving me the thumbs up.
100%. And again, the universe is throwing a lot at you if they win 60 games, but the least they can do. My mind starts going to the numbers, and like start do you start theming them? And I think you mentioned it, like game 44. I don't know if you need to make a Robert Williams specific jersey, but far be it from me to sit here and tell you not to. So I guess if you just start running out of Boston ideas, there's always theming it around the players, and like the Larry Bird one is phenomenal with Larry and the Celtics logo. Just lead me through, like, what other ones jump out for you that you like when you're done, and whether it's the response on Twitter or just like your own personal preference, which ones have people loved?
Oh man, it's been mostly, and again, I think this is just if Nike's listening, this is like this is what you need to do for city jerseys. Yeah. It's like it's been the Boston centric ones is what people have like loved. The Globe was a huge hit.
Yes.
obviously the MBTA jerseys, like those now that we've started selling them, that has been by far and away the most popular jersey. Anytime we do it, we've done the drop twice now, I guess. And both times those have been the ones that have sold out instantly. So that one's super popular. People also love, the oil tank.
Duncan.
I feel like there's Duncan. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. That was also one that everyone went crazy for. Ones that I love. It's an old retro kind of play, and it's the gold, and it says Boston and kind of a big arch and with the drops shadow. That one I love. That one we're doing a special drop of that one in the coming weeks as a Bill Russell tribute. So that one's going to get dropped with number 6 on it.
That's amazing.
So that one I'm really excited for. That one also turned out really well in my book.
Are you amazed? Because like I've been kind of checking it out, and then I'll forget about it for a couple of days, and then they'll win, or another design will pop up and it'll circulate. And now I see honestly, thank God you're selling them, because like I think there's a market out there. Are you surprised by how much people have embraced everything?
100%. It's been wild. It's been absolutely, and it's really been since day one, which I did not anticipate at all. I mean, it's only grown and it continues to grow, which is wild to me. It's one of those things where, so like when I started this, I think I had 2,000 followers on Twitter and got a lot of engagement through the first few. And I was like, this is awesome. This is really fun. I've had some things like that before where I've done projects and like the first few get really good engagement, and then it kind of peters off. And I was like, wow, this is amazing to start with. Like, I'm excited to see where it goes. Nowhere did I expect that it would lead to me. I mean, I'm now at like 11,000 plus, and it doesn't make sense to me that is true that my tweets now are seen by 11,000 people, but anyway, so yes, the manufacturing them has been, that one also was just kind of a luck of kind of right position, right time. Another friend of mine who does his own jerseys designs, he'd worked with this manufacturing company. He actually, back during the bubble and Tampa and the Raptors were playing down in Tampa, he did a Raptors Tampa jersey. So it was the Raptor with the Hawaiian and the baby blue jersey. So he designed that one, and they manufactured that one. And so he put me in contact with them right kind of like, I would say, early in the process of this project. And we were both myself and the manufacturers were just like, clearly there's a market here. Like, people are like going crazy for this series. Let's jump on it. Let's capitalize on it. I could not have anticipated the results or the just kind of like how much people have loved it, how many people have like wanted to purchase the jerseys, how they've now started. I've had people DM me with pictures of them cropping up at Celtics games.
Oh my goodness.
Which is absolutely incredible. Like it's been absolutely wild. Just all of this kind of coming and happening and coming from just me being like, I wanted to make cool jerseys for the Celtics. And it all has been just like, it's been a wild ride. And it makes me feel, having no contact with the team, like a part of what could be a really cool and special season. Yeah.
Well, I need to get back in touch with my Jersey friends over there and just let them know. Like, I mean, again, even if it's just to bounce ideas, I mean, just want them to see the response, and so that to give them the encouragement. And I know it's so many levels, from ownership to everything down has to approve these things. And yet I think a little bit of creativity would go an awful long way. Do they send you some, right? Like, as the design, like, what's it like to actually hold the real jersey? You have one, do you?
I do. I have.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah. I have the marathon and I have the MBTA jerseys, and it's wild. It is wild to just like have it, and especially because I've been doing this since the pandemic, which is like 3 years ago now, 4 years ago. God, it's wild. And so and just having it, an actual jersey that I've designed being manufactured. And I think it's cool for me to have it, but it's the by far the cooler thing is seeing other people wear it, and other people wear it at Celtics games, and like having people tweet me, be like, wore my MBTA jersey today. People were like, that's dope. And it's just like, it's wild. It's a really surreal experience. It's
so weird. Normally I get very uncomfortable promoting products, but I love this. I think your price point is completely reasonable. Like $60, I think, was your part of your first couple of drops. Like, I don't want to tell you from a business side of things, like I'll be jacking that price up based on what the NBA sells these things for. But so I don't mess it up. And I'll put the link in the show description and everything as well. But like, where can people find these? When do the drops come, and give us the info to get these things?
Yeah. So it's all done through my Twitter at Pete M. Rogers. And I think we'll probably do a drop a month, roughly around that kind of span. I think we've got enough public want and also enough jerseys to kind of like keep it fresh and keep dropping new things. So I think that's kind of where we're aiming for, about a drop a month. And I'll make sure I will be announcing whenever a drop comes up, it'll get announced about 24 hours in advance so people can prepare for it. And we tend to sell out in about 48, 72 hours. So you're going to want to be kind of on it and get it in, but don't worry. There will be more drops. We've already had people asking for more MBTA, so that will probably be a staple of every drop, because it's been one that everyone has wanted, which has been incredible.
Well, seriously, congratulations, because I mean, I always dream about these little pet projects, and sometimes you have the best ideas and you never know where they're going to go.
Yeah.
But this one in particular is just so cool. And now I'm going to have to turn on Twitter notifications because I don't know like I said, choosing between favorite children, I don't know which one I want most. But the MBTA one is just electric. The Geno one is so good. I'm going to have to just make sure. I might see if I wonder if I can get my corporate card to expend some of it. Yeah.
I feel like that's, it's Celtics apparel. That should be just covered by the team.
Well, I'll do some research on that. Maybe we'll have to circle back. My bigger question: so what happens now? Like, do we get to game 82? Are you just going to enjoy the playoffs, or are you going to put the pressure on yourself? I mean, you could have maybe 16 more. Is that doable? I think you might.
I think come playoffs, it would be series wins.
Okay.
So I think I would do a jersey, a series win, I'm too superstitious to at all start putting pen to paper or I don't know.
Word to podcast.
Yeah. But I have ideas percolating for a potential championship jersey. They're pieces that I have in mind and like what they would all look like together. But I will not allow myself to design it at all until they at least make it there. Maybe even after, if they have a 2-0 lead, then maybe we'll start doing it.
Yeah, maybe just start sketching so you're ready to hit the ground. But yeah, I'm with you. We all know what if you're on the verge of a 3-1 lead and things can get tricky in a hurry.
Not doing anything to upset the karma in the world.
Pete, seriously, congratulations on everything. People, go check this out. You need to get them right now.
I love it. I mean, I just can't get enough. Every night, I keep saying it. The best part of Celtics wins right now is going to Twitter and slamming the refresh button and seeing what Pete's got designed for the next jersey. From the team ones with the Bruins and Patriots to like all the various iterations of colors. There was one after like a Charlotte win that had a little purple in it. And I know that scares people when the Celtics step outside their normal comfort zone. But I'm one who thinks the Celtics, as every other team in the league, sort of embraces creativity and steps outside that comfort zone a little bit. I need the Celtics to be willing to do that. And maybe it's just adding a little bit of flair to the color. Maybe adding a Boston theme that isn't necessarily the green and white. And so, like, look, the Celtics are my favorite jerseys they have are the home whites and, the traditional nature of it. But it is cool in this age of city jerseys and all that's going on out there to see what everybody's making up. And Pete, I don't know, like keep your phone ready. Celtics might be calling about some of those fun ideas because there's some stuff they could take into those meetings with Nike and see what they could do. All right, a couple more days of rest for you guys. All-Star game is in the rear view. Season starts back up on Thursday night. Celtics on the road start the break. Saturday night, a big showdown in Philly. I'm already looking ahead to March, thinking about all those games, especially the one against Milwaukee. It's going to be a 23-game sprint to the finish line of the regular season. Playoffs are coming. Weather's getting nice. Let's get excited. Go like, subscribe, check us out on the YouTube page. We'll catch you next time on the Celtics Talk podcast.